Willkommen, liebe VeVe und heute ja zu einem neuen Livestream, aber keinem normalen Livestream, wie ihr schon wahrscheinlich im Titel wie auch auf dem Thumbnail gesehen habt. Denn heute schauen wir uns auf jeden Fall zusammen das Twitter AMA an von VeVe. And no, maybe I will do some comments in English, but the most time I will speak German. But at first, for the English-speaking community, we show the whole interview without me. I'm going out. You can watch the whole live stream without me. And yes. Also ich werde mich auch, wenn das Ganze beginnt, rausziehen und dann werdet ihr im Prinzip einfach auch nur das Ganze sehen. Wir werden, wenn ihr wollt, auf jeden Fall können wir danach nochmal das Ganze nachbesprechen. Und einfach uns nochmal ein bisschen austauschen, wie wir das ganze Interview bzw. das Community-Update fanden. Ja, ansonsten aber erstmal sehr, sehr cool, wer hier alles am Start ist. Herzlich willkommen natürlich auch an jeden Einzelnen. Welcome to everyone from the English community here to my channel. And yes, we have 9 minutes left to the live stream. And yes, at first, als erstes, wie geht's euch? I don't know, guys, do you have big expectations? Do you think this community update is a big one and we get so many updates? Also, ja, falls keiner Englisch versteht, schreibt gerne mal rein, was ihr so erwartet als Updates. Bekommen wir Updates? Bekommen wir keine Updates? We can move English and Germany. Ja. Mittlerweile kann ich beides relativ gut, würde ich sagen. No expectations, keine Erwartungen. Okay, alles klar, Frank. Ich persönlich bin da ehrlich gesagt sehr zwiegespalten, muss ich sagen. Ich bin mir da ehrlich gesagt noch sehr unsicher, muss ich einfach ganz ehrlich sagen. Also wir werden jetzt ein paar Sachen auf jeden Fall zum MCP wahrscheinlich auch hören, sonst hätten sie es wahrscheinlich auch nicht reingeschrieben. Also ich bin da ein bisschen hoffnungsvoll, dass wir zum Thema MCP auf jeden Fall ein Update bekommen. Zum Thema Weverse, maybe halt so ein paar Zahlen, wie viele Leute jetzt wirklich dann dabei sind. Aber wir werden es sehen, was dann schlussendlich rumkommt. Ich muss jetzt mal ganz kurz hier ein bisschen gucken, weil ich jetzt nämlich hier mal das Fenster teilen werde. Und warte mal. Un momento. Ihr müsstet mir eventuell später auch nochmal Feedback geben, ob ihr hier irgendwie ein Feedback habt oder mich doppelt hört oder den Sound doppelt hört. Da bräuchte ich dann auf jeden Fall später nochmal von der deutschen Community hier auf jeden Fall nochmal kurzes Feedback, wenn es losgeht. Jan, lass mich gerne positiv überraschen, aber ohne Erwartungen rein heute. Ich glaube, das ist auch das Beste. Ich glaube, ohne Erwartungen ist auf jeden Fall das Beste. Follow your channel to show support. Love VeVe. Yeah, thanks, man. VeVe Poski, thanks, man. Überraschen lasse ich mich gerne auch. Ja, ich denke, das ist das Beste. Und ja, ich bin ja auf jeden Fall schon mal auf der Seite drauf. Wir müssen jetzt auf jeden Fall nochmal warten, bis es dann losgeht. Und solange, ich weiß nicht, wie viele Leute es schon mitbekommen haben, wir haben hier ein neues Comic bekommen. Wir können uns das auch direkt ansonsten mal ganz kurz anschauen. Ich habe es mir selber auch noch gar nicht angeschaut, was hier auf uns zukommt. So, ich muss mal ganz kurz, wenn ich mich anmelde, ganz kurz einmal ausblenden. So. Schauen wir mal, was das Comic kann. Welches war das jetzt? Da. Ich glaube, es ist gar nicht so schlecht, wenn ich mich nicht... Oh, ja, das ist wirklich gar nicht so schlecht, würde ich sagen. Ihr seht jetzt hier tatsächlich auch die Daten von allen Comics. Ich glaube, wenn ihr auf GoCollect geht, könnt ihr nur bis 9.4 sehen. Aber das ist schon ein sehr, sehr, sehr gutes Comic, würde ich sagen. Also 9.6 2012, das muss man ganz klar sagen. 50k, das ist schon auf jeden Fall eine gute Hausnummer. Und 2013 65. Und hier gibt es so eingegradetes 9.8 und hier nur 2. Also ich denke mal, das ist hier tatsächlich in Händen von großen Kollektoren und dementsprechend safe über 100k die 9.6 und hier wahrscheinlich sogar über 300-400k. Also das ist auf jeden Fall ein gutes Comic, also den Job kann man definitiv mitnehmen. Wann ist das hier? Donnerstag, ne? Ist das? Ja, Donnerstag, 17 Uhr. Sehr, sehr schön. Auch passend tatsächlich das Skrulls Attack zu der Serie auf Netflix. Oder das? Nee, Disney Plus. Secret Invasion. Ich weiß nicht, ob es irgendjemand von euch geschaut hat. Ich persönlich fand die Serie eigentlich, ja, die war in Ordnung. Ich hätte mir teilweise mehr erwartet, aber an sich die Story war ganz cool. Schreibt mal gerne rein, ob ihr es auch geschaut habt. Yes, for the English people, we need to wait the next couple of minutes. 5 minutes or 4 minutes is the AMA starting. And I see update from Dan and Mitch. That means more from the tech side. And yeah, maybe for MCP, Weverse, and so on. I hope we get more informations there and updates about MCP especially. Secret Invasion sehr low, muss ich sagen. Ja, ich muss sagen, ich fand an sich die Story dahinter gar nicht mal so schlecht, wie sie es umgesetzt haben und auch mit Spannung und so weiter, würde ich dir recht geben mit sehr low. Also habe ich teilweise mehr erwartet. In einer Serie ist teilweise so gar nichts passiert irgendwie. Das war irgendwie dann so ein bisschen schade. Und richtig Action war irgendwie auch nicht dabei. Aber gut. Im Endeffekt hat es auf jeden Fall eine Lücke geschlossen, was die ganze Story angeht. Das ist gar nicht so schlecht, aber inhaltlich würde ich auf jeden Fall sagen eine 4, so in etwa. Ja, mal gucken. Es geht los, okay. Also bei mir kommt jetzt gerade... Oh, ja, sehr schön, okay. Gut. Achso, das war nur die Erinnerung, schade. Wie gesagt, also ihr müsst mir gleich auf jeden Fall nochmal ein kleines Feedback geben, ob ihr irgendwas doppelt hört und so weiter und so fort. Haben Nick Fury gewastet? Ein bisschen, ja. Würde ich auf jeden Fall zustimmen. Ja, guten Abend zu Cry. Wahrscheinlich wieder aus dem Auto, gerade auf der Autobahn. Viele Grüße auf jeden Fall. Chico Rocco nicht vergessen. Ich glaube, Frank, ganz ehrlich, ich habe diese Drops, glaube ich, schon seit einer halben Ewigkeit nicht mehr mitgemacht. Bin ich ganz ehrlich. Aber, keine Ahnung, jedem das seine. Yes. Okay. Weiß nicht, könnt ihr schon in den Twitter-Space rein? Kann das einer mal testen? Weil bei mir ploppt das jetzt zwar die ganze Zeit auf, aber irgendwie so wirklich kaum tut jetzt nichts. Ich kann joinen, okay, komisch. Dann werde ich das Ganze hier nochmal... Das ist ja echt komisch. Ah, sehr schön. Okay. Okay, ich muss an der Stelle mal ganz kurz noch tatsächlich warten, weil wenn wir jetzt nämlich reingehen, dann werde ich wahrscheinlich, beziehungsweise der Stream, gestrikt wegen der Musik. Deswegen gehen wir erst relativ knapp rein. For the English people here in the stream, we need to wait because otherwise I get a ban because the music is copyright. And yes, that means we need to wait. Yes. Ansonsten kann man ja auch mal ein bisschen was retweeten. Danke, Gruß nach Deutschland. Bin im Ausland zu Hause momentan. Relaxen, hör gerne zu, was Neues gibt. Sehr schön, dann wünsche ich dir auf jeden Fall eine gute Zeit noch zu Hause und viele Grüße zurück von Deutschland zu dir. Gut. Eventuell, falls jemand gerade nebenbei auf Twitter ist, kann er mir gerne reinschreiben, wann es losgeht, weil ansonsten müssen wir hier mal ab und zu rein und raus und das wäre ein bisschen nervig, ehrlich gesagt. Ich würde das ja so gerne mithören, ne? Aber das ist echt, ja, die Musik ist ein Hit, absolut. Aber das Problem ist, ich kann das halt hier nicht im Stream spielen, weil ansonsten kriege ich direkt einen Bann hier mit dem Stream, beziehungsweise der Stream wird dann ausgeschnitten, die Zeit, wo das halt gespielt wird. Das ist halt ein bisschen doof.
Friendly neighborhood marketer.
Sehr schön.
Joined today
So,
by
jetzt
Mitch
müsst ihr mir mal bitte
and
ganz kurz
Dan,
ein Feedback geben,
and we got some good things to cover
ob
today. Of course,
ihr irgendwas
starting out
doppelt hört
here
oder
with
nicht.
quick tribute to Paul Rubens, passed away today at the age of 70 after a long but private battle with cancer. I think for me, I don't know how many of you can relate, but Pee-wee was huge in my life. As it pertains to me as a collector, for those of you who don't know, aside from Dodgers bobbleheads, Pee-wee art and Pee-wee's Big Adventure posters and things like that are my go-to collection. So this is obviously a rough day, and it also reminds me, if we haven't heard it today yet, F cancer, and our support goes out to all who have been touched in some way or another by this horrible disease, including one of our own who is going through it right now. So shout out to Silicon Secure and all those who know and love the man. We're Silicon Strong, and I just wanted to give a shout out real quick about that. All right, moving on. We got some good things to cover today. Dan and Mitch, how the hell are you?
Doing great, thanks, Alex. A little bit early here in New Zealand, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
think my brain.
Good morning, Alex.
Great morning,
I appreciate that, gentlemen. I know it's early too, but it's kind of a good middle of the day time for European friends as well. So didn't want to keep anybody up too late. But yeah, let's jump right in. There's a few things obviously coming off San Diego Comic-Con. We had a really great time. Getting to know a lot of some new fans and some of our existing fans who came all the way down to San Diego, not only to attend Comic-Con, but also to join us at our after party, which is a really good time anytime we can hang with fam. And also we had a great little moment there in which we paid tribute to Silicon. But let's just kind of dive into what was going on at the booth. We had, as you may have heard or know by now, obviously we had some, we'll call them exclusive drops for people who were new to the platform and were there at the Marvel booth to hear our presentation, which was a really cool moment, I think, for us, in that we were really having a captive audience of people who were new to digital collecting or new to VeVe. And Ray Lowe was the host there with the Marvel booth, did a really great job of kind of ushering us through a quick tutorial and some visuals about what we see as the vision and the future of digital collecting. So shout out to Dan, who was there with me at the booth and on stage, kind of going through that presentation. And we did a couple of live drops in the old school style, just to make sure that everybody there had a countdown to experience together, and it was a lot of fun. And we did 2 comic runs, both 1,000 edition single cover comics. And then we also had some promo codes for new people who had installed the app in front of us, which was really great. Because if anything that I think was the takeaway this year over last year, and feel free to chime in on this, Dan, was the people a little more open to the idea of what a digital asset is, and really what AR brings to the experience. I think you really saw it click for a lot of people once you show them that collectible or that comic flipping pages in AR.
Yeah, I think, now that it's been a few years that NFTs and digital collectibles have been around, I from my side, and it sounds like from your side, Alex, I definitely felt that the overall sentiment and understanding and awareness of what they are was much higher this year. And obviously the development team has been working hard, making sure we were able to push KYC requirements much further down the app, so the app user flow. So the great thing about that is that we can actually sign people up on the spot, give them the promo codes, run them through the platform. But yeah, this time round it was really good. Just lots of very positive engagement from the thousands of Marvel fans that were there.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely some good learning experience as well in terms of like what we can do at future events, and just in terms of how we want to really bring people in and show them like even quicker like what the value proposition is for something like this, because not only is it your favorite characters and some of the biggest comic books in the history of Marvel, but it's so much more than that. And I think we'll dovetail into our next agenda item by one of the things that we showed at the booth, which was the Marvel showroom in the MetaQuest headsets. This was a really good experience, not only for people who really that saw the AR, but they wanted to know more about what digital collecting was and what it could do. But it was also, for us, generally, the VeVe fans who came and really saw it, was another light switch moment in that you could see and move through an environment where these collectibles were set up in a very nice and curated gallery kind of type setting of all of the Marvel Mighties. And it was just a kind of a snapshot or a taste, a teaser, if you will, of what you can expect to see from the VeVeverse moving forward. But that said, we are now moving into a first phase of closed private beta. So Dan, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the comms that went out this couple days ago, and what can we expect from this closed private beta?
Yeah, so very excited to finally reach this point. The VeVeverse has been quite an undertaking for the majority of the team here. Specifically around a lot of the asset review. We realized that we have done thousands of collectibles and comics since the launch of VeVe. So obviously we need to be making sure that when these items appear in the VeVeverse, they look the way that they have been signed off and approved by all of our IP and licensors. And that's required just a little bit longer effort than we anticipated, because the VeVeverse environment is much more realistic compared to what we've got in the app at the moment. So happy to say that has been moved along quite well. Still got a few assets to review. And it's for that reason that we've told this initial beta group that we can't yet share anything in terms of screenshots, but they will be able to talk about their experience, etc. So the initial beta is just a small group of people. We have selected users who have been very active in showrooms. And if you haven't been selected just yet, I'm sorry, you'll more than likely be in one of the upcoming rounds. But it was important for me just to make sure that we do keep this initial group quite small, quite concise, because I'm going to be dealing with a lot of them directly, jumping on some calls, running them through the platform, getting their feedback. But yeah, from my perspective, what I'm most excited about with the VeVeverse is obviously you can do everything you can do in the showroom, in our existing showrooms. But the two main features that I'm really bullish on is, number one, obviously all of the social side of it. There's voice chat, there's video chat, there's text chat, a whole bunch of different communication tools. And the other layer, which to be honest makes me just spend hours in the VeVeverse, is all of the content creator tools. Up till now with our virtual showrooms, we've only been able to bring in the collectibles that are sold on VeVe. And, some of our fans have been very creative in how to use those collectibles to, say, make their own shelves or, custom components within their own showroom. But now there are a whole lot of creative tools where you can bring in, cubes or spheres or pyramids, but all these kind of different simple shapes to really build up your own world. And we'll be continuing to add to that sort of library that you have. And that library is going to expand over the next few weeks to include a whole range of kind of like default 3D content, whether it's trees or walls or urban props, anything like that. So very, very excited to get to this point, and looking forward to diving in with the beta testers over the next couple of weeks and see what they have to say.
Great, right on. That sounds awesome. I think just to reiterate the point of keeping this initial closed private beta very tight and very small is really, as you mentioned, people who have been the most active in the showrooms. I've seen a few tweets of people claiming they got their invite, but I can assure you, if it's somebody who you probably don't think has got an invite, they probably didn't. So don't be taken by charlatans on Twitter. But we're really looking forward to getting some of the most active people in, so we can really kind of grow from there and figure out what kind of tweaks we need to make and what the next phase of beta will look like. But from your end, Dan, what do you consider a success metric in this first beta phase, and then what is the continued rollout look like? Not from a timeline perspective, but just from a functionality perspective.
Yeah, so the main thing from my side is really just making sure that all of the features and functionality work as intended. Obviously, we've been working on the platform for quite a long time now, so we are very confident in the performance of the features. There are other areas like specific roles and policies that need to be reviewed. So, for example, if you import or you load an IP asset from your VeVe library, you're not able to change any of the materials. And what I mean by that is any of the colors on these IP assets. However, if they are a non-IP asset, like you bring in a cube because you want to create, 4 walls and a roof, you are able to update, all of the materials on that, change the colors, add lighting, etc. So, number one is just around the features. Number two is really just asking the beta testers to help us kind of crowd review the assets that are in the system one last time to make sure they are in line with what is currently in the VeVe app, or they look the same as what's in the VeVe app. And from there, assuming that all goes well, I mean, obviously I anticipate there is going to be a few little things that we will need to perhaps fix up or make clearer to the users. Once that takes place, we can then really just start bringing in users in small batches, very similar to the same way that we whitelist our features now, like payout, for example, which is still going through beta. So we'll be rolling it out in a very similar way. Also things like making sure that our servers are scalable enough, or the infrastructure that we've set up is not having any sort of pipeline issues. Most of the sort of what I would call the less exciting stuff in the background.
Got it. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so you mentioned the beta rollout process for a lot of our functionality. So at this point, let's maybe transition to some product updates. Mitch, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Good morning. Thank you for joining us early.
No issue.
Let's cover a few recent updates. As we know, and people who have been following along, obviously, with our comms on Twitter and Discord, etc., and the blog, I've seen a kind of a regular clip of updates going through as pertaining to different functionality across the platform as a whole. But can you speak to some of the more recent updates, like localization, et cetera, and where we are with continuing to build stuff like that out?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, we're always consistently trying to produce updates for the community and right across, even for ourselves internally, right? So our cadence that has been set right from the beginning. We always release in 2 week cycles, and people can expect both large and small releases coming through on that regular cadence. For us, releasing is very, very important, and it's almost like a discipline internally. If things internally don't happen as well for one of the various teams, the release actually doesn't stop. They have to peel out, the teams have to peel out components that don't work, and they then plan it for the further release in the next 2 weeks. But our releases, we want to make sure that they're consistently coming out so that we can always make minute and iterative improvements to the application overall.
Got it. And when you mentioned teams, and I think we've kind of touched on this in a chat in the past, but at this point, the way your team is structured is that there are specific teams working on specific areas of the app, be it web, be it mobile, be it engagement, etc. Is that now how are we fully staffed in that regard? And I know we talked about briefly in a previous update about a new blockchain team coming on. Can you give us a little bit of an update on where the team is as a whole?
Yeah, in terms of scaling, teams, we've kind of hit that capacity, right? We don't think we need to kind of add infinite amount of headcount to the teams anymore. We've hit a pretty good point, and now it's really about optimization. So we've got various teams kind of working on various components of VeVe itself, and they are pretty much fully staffed right now. So onboarding is still happening for the newer kind of entrants into the teams, but now it's really about sitting down and understanding what kind of roles we can add that will add exponential value to the teams, both from a organizational point of view and but also a capability point of view. So I think we're sitting at a pretty comfortable state right now. The teams are coming a little bit more on board, as in maturity wise, learning about VeVe. A lot of them have not come from the digital collectible space or from the crypto space at all. So their learning curve is going to be higher. But we think we've got the right people in place to be able to kind of keep inching and kind of leaping us forward in our development right across from everything from just normal functionality on VeVe all the way through to digital asset functionality.
Excellent. Okay. And then in terms of we talked about briefly language localization. Obviously, we've rolled out crafting, and we're continuing to improve on that. Are there any other further updates on those two items at this point?
Yeah, from a language point of view, we've got Japanese, French, and Spanish, and I speak none of them. So it was a very interesting experience to try and get that through. But I think, from a language point of view, localization is going to be very, very important, right? We want the app to be absolutely accessible to the various people that are available for us to kind of onboard right across the world. So, we can expect more languages to be onboarded in the coming days, weeks, months, years, as we look to kind of make the app a lot more accessible. From a crafting point of view, we have one of the teams kind of working on building out the full crafting based functionality. What we've seen so far is really just the surface of crafting, and our plans for the ability for people to turn, many NFTs into one, or many collectibles into one, and turn one collectibles into many. So there is a team there kind of working on building out and maturing that capability from where we are today into quite an exciting kind of future base for crafting in itself.
Excellent. Okay. That's awesome. Thank you. And then Dan, maybe do you want to speak to, in regards to localization, obviously it's very important that we make the app as accessible to as many people in the world as possible, but can you speak to briefly, I know we've mentioned in the past and David has mentioned as much about localization being necessary to onboard, specific IP or licensors to the platform. I assume Astro Boy was one of the first fruits of that labor in debuting Japanese, etc.
Yeah, I mean, David and I have been very open about the fact we are both, very big fans of Japanese IP, and there's even a lot of Chinese IP out there as well. And really to tap into these markets, we obviously do need to be localized. There are a lot of English speakers out there, but even from a licensor level, it is important for these IP owners that the items that we sell are accessible and available to their local audiences, and that is a big part of the reason for localization. And the cool thing about VeVe is that it truly is a global app, and so we want to be making sure that we have the opportunity to sell a whole lot of different IP from different regions, and really it's a part of our growth strategy to bring on users from more of these countries.
Excellent. Okay, great. All right. Speaking of things in the works, can you give us the latest on our payout beta? Last we left it with a tweet was that we had onboarded a small amount of people to do some private beta testing, and those seem to be successful from those people who did get access. But what's the plan for further rollout and then opening that wide to our international user base?
Yeah, so payouts is small. It's sitting at around 15,000 people that have access to the payout beta at the moment, and we're kind of holding it there for now as we've picked up some kind of operational components that we need to kind of address. So once we get past those pieces, and that they're not really large pieces at all, we just need time to kind of resolve them with our new partner, we'll start to open that up to everybody else. So the whole point about the beta is for us to discover some of these issues that cannot really be discovered if there isn't scale being applied to the systems. And we found some. And what we're doing now is kind of going back to address those pieces. And once we're done with that, we'll probably open it up to everybody.
Okay, great.
It's fairly short.
Yeah, I think one other point on the payout, I've mentioned in previous AMAs, whenever it comes to anything financial or anything where money can be pulled out of the system, we do like to be extremely risk averse. So while it may seem slow, our rollout process, we are just being very diligent to making sure that there are no security gaps or security holes in the platform. It's obviously something that might seem quite simple on the surface, but there's a lot going on in the background, right across support teams, risk analysis teams, etc. So we do appreciate your patience with it. We can assure you 100% payout is fully built and implemented and rolled out, and we do look forward to getting that out to the wider community as soon as we can.
Okay, excellent. All positive updates there. Well, let's maybe dive into some things that have been maybe not as positive as of late, and that has to do with some of the issues we've been seeing with waitlist drops as of late. Mitch, I know obviously this is a new functionality for us. Can you just break it down to let me just go through how ideally waitlist should work, what the known issues are, and what we're doing to address those issues in order to move forward with other items on our plate?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's no secret that we've been facing some challenges with the waitlist itself, and I think Nesta tweeted about it 7 hours ago, something like that. The reality is that it is a new system. We did test it quite robustly, and we've picked up some issues as we've progressed, right? So the waitlist actually has two phases. The first phase is the waitlist itself, where there is a kind of closed time so that people can join the waitlist, and then subsequently there will be a time where the waitlist closes and allocation happens, and then there will be a time where people are allowed to purchase, and then from there it moves on to rebound. So the two phases are the waitlist, the subsequent allocation, and then the rebound, right? We're facing problems right now or challenges with the rebound itself. So that is the area that we're focusing on in an attempt to kind of stabilize overall waitlist functionality. We think we've kind of got where we needed to go with that piece right now, and we'll be looking to kind of deploy that over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about quickly, though. I think there, maybe just for definition's sake, what the core wait list is for the countdown. to drop time, right? And then there's what I think we've just, out of habit, have been calling the rebound, right? Which is the experience that if a drop hasn't sold out, how they return to the store. Obviously, that's kind of where I think a good bulk of the issues or complaints, at least that we've been seeing on Twitter and in support tickets, have been coming from.
That's great.
Can you tell us, like, what is the issue, I guess, specifically there, and how you envision that being cleaned up for the future?
Yeah, we actually looked at several different ways to do this. During the waitlist phase, we wanted to make sure that there was a degree of priority that was being provided to KYC based users, right? As we've kind of talked about for quite a while, and that is the case right now. So during the waitlist period, where the waitlist is open, you can join in the subsequent allocation and purchase phase. Those allocations will be kind of prioritized towards KYC users first. Now, if there are any allocations or additions that are unsold post the waitlist phase, they go into what we call a free-for-all phase, where because we've prioritized KYC users, non-KYC users don't really have an opportunity or have a much reduced opportunity to join the waitlist or to be successful in the allocation during the waitlist phase. So that open phase post the waitlist is meant to kind of level out the playing field for non-KYC accounts so that they can have access to collectibles and comics that are unsold at any point in time. During the unsold phase or post allocation phase, there are two types of instances where additions will be allocated back into the rebound, so-called rebound. One is if a person has been successfully allocated during the waitlist but has not completed the payment phase in the first 15 minutes. And then secondly, if there are less people that have joined the waitlist and there are additions available, there will be additions made that will be unsold. So that was the intent. During that rebound phase, it was meant to be an open phase, but what we've seen so far is that we needed to fix and bring in some degree of reservations to allow any users to actually some time to purchase before things go back into a revolving loop of being available and not being available. And right now, everything is just available, and at any one point in time, it can just become unavailable if someone else has purchased an available edition quickly.
Got it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Alex, I think I just I'd like to say, with the waitlist, it is a new piece of technology. I'm sure for all the OGs in the space here, they remember when back in 2021 when with the buy now, we were having quite a few let's just say exciting times with those drops. But obviously, as that buy now system improved and got more robust over time, it became very, very solid, by the end. And it's just the nature of development. A lot of the times, we do a lot of testing in our staging environments with the team and a whole bunch of testers. And really, we're just going through this same sort of phase now with the waitlist. So obviously, we are 100% committed to making it, a really fun and enjoyable experience. And for those of you who have been, poorly affected, again, we always apologize. It's never, a scenario or a situation that we want. But yeah, please just be rest assured that we are working on it, all the time, and it is just going to get better and better.
Yeah, I think Dan touched on it really well, right? Like, all processes are iterative. We discover things that need to be improved and we improve it. Even if we don't discover things that improve, we'll try to improve things. So this is a journey for us. And we'll always kind of be looking at making things better, making things quicker, making things a lot more fun.
Okay, excellent. Now, obviously, getting some of those issues ironed out with the waitlist is integral to moving on and releasing some form of what else people have been really looking forward to, which is MCP, right? And so we've successfully rolled out MCP showing up in your profile with your points calculations. Obviously, there's still some minor issues with some folks about the actual calculations, but can you just give us a general status update of how waitlist relates to MCP and where MCP is in the pipeline in terms of being able to get correct totals on points calculations, being able to spend points, etc.?
Yeah. For us, MCP is continuous. Work on MCP is continuous. Points are something we want to get accurate, but we're quite and we're working quite diligently and with a bit degree of focus on trying to get everything as accurate as we can. The reality, however, is that it's going to be an ongoing progression. So we're targeting a success rate of around 98% in terms of accuracy. That's what we're going for right now. But the remaining 2% will always be something that we continuously work on. So our journey with MCP I suspect will never end. It will always be enhancements to the point system. There will always be changes to the point system as we progress through to get points up to where people expect them to be. And there will be minor cases where we may have to look into it individually, or if we notice a pattern that is happening inside of the MCP point calculation system, we'll kind of address that with a release in the background, right? So these things are continuous for us. If you have issues with your points, some of you have already put in a request or a form for it to be reviewed. Please continue to use the form because we are watching these and we are picking up on things that are not going according to what we expect them to be, and we are kind of addressing them almost on a case-by-case basis as well.
Great. And so just so we can be clear for anybody who does believe they are having a points calculation issue, when they do file that support ticket, what are we looking for in terms of information so that we can best hone in and dial in to understand what the calculation should be, or versus what looks off?
Yeah, we're trying to really understand where you think your points need to be in the first instance versus where it is currently. We're trying to get a decent comparison between the expectation versus the reality. And this is because, as we progress the MCP service, we're constantly kind of making changes to it and making tweaks to it that sometimes, we want to make sure that there is a strong base for us to be able to say, yes, this is a legitimate case of the system not doing what it needs to be. And then we'll make a tweak to it to ensure that these adjustments are fair and equitable for the people that are affected.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And in terms of actual, not timeline wise, but at least in terms of order of priority, enrolling future features of the MCP out so people can feel like they are able to use their points in some way, or have some other type of utility within the app as part of the program. Where are we at with not only MCP, but the loyalty program, which we've talked about in the past as it relates to OUP, etc.? Are there any, is there a priority list of how we anticipate rolling these things out post stabilization of the waitlist?
Yeah, so the waitlist and then the MCP piece, as well as MCP utility, are intrinsically tied together. I was telling Dan not too long ago that we're finally getting to all the really, really fun things that can deliver a lot of value back to our communities and back to our back to the user base. And then we kind of, ran into a bit of a challenge with the waitlist overall. So a lot of the resourcing right now that we have working on the waitlist and on MCP utility are being directed to kind of address some of these challenges that we have with the waitlist. That does not mean, however, that we've stopped work and progress on MCP utility. It is very high on our priority list, and as I said last time, it is part of our, it was part of our Q2 objectives that kind of slipped into Q3 right now. Our focus is really still genuinely on delivering this utility for all the collectors that we have out there right now. And we know that there are many collectors with millions and millions of MCP points, and they really want to use them. So we've kind of gone through a phase of ideation, gone through a phase of thinking about, what and how can we add value using MCP points as utility. And we think we've got some really, really good things coming in the pipeline, but we are still right now kind of prefacing that against a stable waitlist, because the waitlist does preface the access to MCP utility. A lot of MCP utility will be based on the allocation system itself. So for us, getting the allocation system right is paramount, so that we can confidently continue to build that utility into the system itself.
Great. And just to expand on that, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was just say, yeah, I mean, obviously we have, we've rolled out the first iteration of the wait list. We've rolled out the first phase of MCP, whether it's obvious or not, but we know, obviously we're not going to stop there. We are always continuing to work in the background, like MCP, to deliver, phase 2 and onwards. So, I think one thing to say about MCP is that, we are dealing of years and years of data with millions and millions of transactions, millions of daily, possibly tens of millions of daily points in terms of the data set. So it is a complex system, and that's why we are seeing some discrepancies for some users. But once again, just please be rest assured that all of this work is continuing to happen in the background.
Got it. And I just wanted to expand quickly on the notion of allocation, so that people are clear what that means. When we talk about allocation within the waitlist, we're talking about allocating those who have opted into the waitlist versus other factors like, are you KYC'd, or have you put in extra or MCP points, etc. down the line. So that we need to get that infrastructure down pat, so that when we do release the functionality for MCP, that it's a little easier of a lift on the systems. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's correct. So the allocation system is going to be one of the main staples of how we progress functionality in the future, and getting that right is extremely important, right? If I'm not wrong, and I have been kind of just monitoring the stuff that's been happening across the various community channels, people are saying, are these allocations truly random, et cetera, et cetera. They are absolutely random at this stage. And part of the improvements on the allocation systems that we're looking at as well is to say, well, how do we ensure fairness in randomization? And these are the pieces that we're kind of working on and really focused on, because we want to make sure that these delivery mechanisms and the allocation systems that we're creating are robust, so that we can continue to build on them.
So definitely a randomized selection system. So a special shout out to people I've seen say, I have not been able to hit a wait list to save my life. It's nothing personal. Please don't take it personally. We love that you keep trying. Just stick with it, and you'll get one. Obviously, eventually, just by nature of statistics. But it's helpful to hear that there are no other at this point, without MCP, etc. It's all based on allocation and prioritization for KYC.
And Alex, I think there is something else that I don't believe we've announced it, but I think it's fine that we can announce it here. Just some of the other upgrades we are making around the waitlist system.
Great.
I mentioned earlier that VeVe really is truly a global app. We see that absolutely, especially with the implementation of phase 1 of the waitlist. The spread or the delivery of the collectibles is much more global, which is a really good thing to see. One of the challenges we have always faced with the drops is the actual drop time itself. Obviously, we do want to be global. We do want to be making sure that it is fair for everyone, and we've picked the time zone 8 a.m. Pacific time for the majority of the drops, because it has the closest sort of crossover for most of our audiences around the world. But one of the exciting updates that we do have coming out for the waitlist is you will be able to join the waitlist within I believe it's a 24-hour period. And then if you do have gems in your wallet, and you are successfully selected in the waitlist, it would automatically make the purchase for you and deliver it to your collection. So when you wake up, you've got a brand new collectible. And that's just one of the approaches or methods we are using to just make it easier. I mean, for me in New Zealand, I've got to get up at 4 a.m. and to be honest,
I was gonna say, most of the shout outs were like, come on, you're a New Zealand company, why aren't you helping us out here, like especially, and then Australia is even a couple hours before that, so
exactly.
that's helpful to hear, and I know that had been working on. I'm glad you were able to announce that that's coming here today. But that's, just to reiterate, that basically means that, you don't have to wake up. Once that wait list window opens, you can basically set it, forget it, right? If you have the gems to cover the drop, you opt in, go back to sleep, and you wake up and you either have the collectible or you don't. You can get it in the secondary market. But that's very helpful, I think, for people, not only in other parts of the world, but people who have work, here on the east or west coast of the United States, have a meeting at that time, or forget about it. But you have a much larger window in which to participate in these drops, and I think that's great.
So just one more thing on this one. It's important to note that most things or everything on VeVe is never mandatory. Everything is a choice for collectors, and we want to continue to keep that right as a choice for collectors themselves. So, if you choose to not want to auto pay or auto complete a purchase, you can. If you choose to want to continue to wake up at 3 a.m. to make the payment on your own, you can choose to do that. Everything is about convenience and everything is about choice. And we want to put that choice in the hands of the collectors and allow the collectors to do what best fits their lifestyles.
Great. Yeah, good and very important to note. Thank you very much for that, Mitch. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it on MCP / loyalty. Anything else you guys want to add on that front in terms of, I don't know, roadmap, prioritization, or anything else that you'd like to announce today in terms of other functionality coming to the app?
No, just to kind of close off and ensure kind of a degree of transparency, right? We've got various teams working on various different things. So waitlist and MCP utility are one of those things that are being worked on by a team. We've got teams working on our kind of own utility program as well, and we expect that we'll be able to kind of talk a little bit more about what we've been doing with the own utility piece a little bit later, as we kind of firm up communications and firm up the details on that functionality coming through. So rest assured, as Dan said before, that as much as we may not be talking about things, or it might not be as tangible or visible, there's a lot of stuff happening in the background, and it touches quite a few different teams that we have running right now, and they're happening simultaneously. Just because we're quiet doesn't mean we're not working on stuff. In fact, actually, it's the opposite. We're quiet because we are working on things.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mitch. And I think this year, hopefully everyone can see that we are delivering a lot of features. Since the beginning of the year. Obviously, waitlist, crafting, MCP. These are all the things that we've been wanting to get out for a while, and we are seeing a good cadence with these features come out. If only they were a lot more simple and were easier to deploy and get up and running 100%. But to Mitch's point, we are always working on stuff in the background, and hopefully that's apparent just through the fact that we are delivering on a pretty consistent basis throughout this year.
Yeah, if Facebook is having a year of optimization for VeVe, it's the year of delivery.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So just quick housekeeping. Heads up that tonight they're going to be doing some of the referred to infrastructure upgrading. There will be an outage starting tonight, July 31st at 10 p.m. Pacific time. Systems will be down, and we do expect any processes and upgrades to be complete within a few hours, but just a heads up. So if you're doing some late night browsing, or you're waking up in the morning tomorrow and early tomorrow and see that the app is down, just be aware that that's what's happening. We're going through some upgrades. We'll put out some comms on Twitter about that as well. But there is no drop tomorrow, so we won't risk running up against that. In terms of drops for the rest of the week, we actually have some really good stuff, and I can't wait to share that with you. Obviously, Wednesday we have the next Disney comic, that is The Last of the Clan McDuck. We've just announced Fantastic Four #2, which is a big book, first appearance of the Skrulls. For those of you who have been watching Secret Invasion, you know how integral that piece of the story is to the future of the MCU, and how big that character and that that alien race has been to a lot of comic storylines for Marvel over the years. So that's a big one. And then let's see, what else can I tease here? Maybe another drop that includes a pencil, perhaps. And then we got some other good stuff. But just again, tonight, outage starting at 10 p.m. PT. We're down for a few hours, but we'll be back up as soon as those upgrades are complete. Anything else you guys would like to add for this month? And just quickly, I know I usually say my little spiel at the top about fairly regular basis and whatnot, but obviously wanted to pay some tribute there to Mr. Paul Rubin. But I know a lot of people have been disappointed that we're not doing the video format on YouTube. We will continue doing community updates, but I think we're just kind of revamping the format on what that means moving forward. That they are with Dan and David, heads down, and Mitch heads down on a lot of different things happening with the app and doing some traveling, securing new IP, new partnerships, as you may have seen from Mr. Yu's Instagram. It becomes a little harder for me to herd those cats, if you will. So we'll revamp that format a little bit, and we'll still aim to keep everybody informed as often as possible with any updates to the ecosystem as a whole. But please don't take it personally that you don't get to see our tired and beautiful faces on a monthly basis. But thank you for everybody for joining us today. And thank you for Dan and Mitch for getting up early. I know I saw David in the crowd earlier. I know he had some conflicts with some meetings early on this morning, so couldn't come up to the stage. And shout out to everybody who has stuck with us and is patient as we continue to roll out all of these different pieces of what is going to be the best digital collectible experience in the world. That said, I've been Alex, and we will catch you on the next one. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Ja, was soll man dazu sagen? Ich sag euch ganz ehrlich, ich bin schon ein bisschen enttäuscht, muss ich sagen. Also ich habe mir, wie Token auch gerade schreibt, definitiv mehr erhofft, ja. Also ich würde sagen, das war so eine knappe Stunde, eigentlich so fast verschwendet. Und das Update hier mit der Waitlist, dass man sozusagen 24 Stunden vorher joinen kann, und dann sozusagen, wenn man gepickt wird, die Gems automatisch abgezogen werden, beziehungsweise das Collectible automatisch gekauft wird. Das ist natürlich, muss ich ganz klar sagen, ein sehr, sehr geiles Update. Da kann man auf jeden Fall nicht meckern. Das ist cool. Aber, sagen wir mal ganz ehrlich, der Rest war einfach nur Müll. Und da muss ich auch einfach mal ein bisschen hart sein. Aber das war es echt komplett, das Update. Kommunikation ist wichtig, aber ich finde, wenn man nichts zu kommunizieren hat, also keine Updates wirklich hat, dann kann man es eigentlich auch lassen. Also da hätten sie jetzt eigentlich meiner Meinung nach einfach auch wieder so einen Twitter-Thread machen können. Das war's. Also, ich weiß nicht. Klar war es jetzt nochmal ganz gut, dass sie gesagt haben, hey, jetzt kommt halt das Update heute Nacht und so weiter und so fort. Aber das war wirklich, also, ich meine, das ist jetzt nicht das erste Update, was wir in dieser Form gesehen haben, dass irgendwie, ja, nicht wirklich viele Informationen gekommen sind, aber ich weiß nicht, also MCP hätte ich ehrlich gesagt jetzt schon gerne wenigstens die Beta Ankündigung gehabt, ehrlich gesagt. Sag, wie es ist. Ja, klar, es war im Großen und Ganzen war es wirklich Zeitverschwendung. Es gab 2, 3 Punkte, die waren jetzt ganz gut zu wissen, aber im Großen und Ganzen hätte man das Ganze halt auch einfach in einem Twitter-Thread packen können und das wäre auch gut gewesen. FAT-Virus geht um. Ich glaube schon, ja, tatsächlich. Also nach dem Update, ja, unterwälmig. Ja, es ist auf jeden Fall ja nicht gerade gut gewesen. Also beziehungsweise jedenfalls nichts Neues. Also ich sag mal so, es war jetzt nicht negativ, ne? Aber es war jetzt halt auch nicht positiv, das muss man halt einfach sagen. Also da hätte man sich halt eigentlich auch gar nichts anschauen können. Also, naja. Jetzt hat hier irgendjemand gerade geschrieben, Omi down. Oh. Ist der Omi wirklich jetzt down oder ist der nochmal gedroppt? Nee, okay, gut. Ja, wie auch immer. Also, ich merke auch schon hier, die allgemeine Zufriedenheit lässt auf jeden Fall sehr zu wünschen übrig. Mega Enttäuschung, nichts sagen, außer das Waitlist-Update ist interessant für den globalen Markt, definitiv. Aber ansonsten ja, kann ich eure Enttäuschung absolut fühlen. Ich bin auch wirklich enttäuscht, muss ich sagen. Bin jetzt Cold Holder, also kommt Double Fat von mir. Let's go. Sehr gut. Ja, wie auch immer. Also ich merke schon, Begeisterung ist auf jeden Fall nicht so am Start. Ich würde auch sagen, dass wir an dieser Stelle den Stream... Achso, nee, warte mal, eine Sache wollte ich noch ansprechen hier. Denn ich habe ja heute sogar tatsächlich noch, mein 2-jähriges Jubiläum des Kanals und ich habe eine Spendenaktion gestartet, unter anderem mit Giveaway für die Leute, die da auf jeden Fall gerne mitmachen wollen. In der Telegram-Gruppe gibt es auch nochmal eine deutsche Variante von dem gesamten Post. Im Prinzip müsst ihr mindestens $5 spenden, mir einen Screenshot von der Transaktion schicken und dann kommt ihr sozusagen in den Pool rein. Im Großen und Ganzen, um euch das ganz kurz vorzustellen, das ist im Prinzip, also bei der Organisation bin ich selber auch schon Spender seit Anfang des Jahres 2023. Und ich habe mir persönlich jetzt hier ganz speziell das Projekt halt Brunnenbau ausgesucht. Das heißt, wenn ihr Bock habt, da auf jeden Fall $5 mindestens da zu lassen, was Gutes zu tun und wie gesagt, dafür in den Pool zu kommen für ein Giveaway, könnt ihr das auf jeden Fall gerne machen. Das sind die Collectibles, die auf jeden Fall verlost werden. Einmal ein Steamboat Willy Common, dann einmal ein Ultraman und hier unser Sam Wilson. Ansonsten findet ihr auf jeden Fall alles, wie gesagt, hier auf Twitter ist auch alles angepinnt. Und dann könnt ihr hierüber bezahlen. Wie gesagt, an dieser Stelle nur das Brunnenprojekt. Und dann mir einfach einen Screenshot schicken und dann werdet ihr direkt sozusagen in den Pool geworfen. Ansonsten, das Ganze geht bis zum 31. August. Das heißt, ihr habt auf jeden Fall jetzt noch ein bisschen Zeit. Und dementsprechend, ich wünsche euch auf jeden Fall viel Glück, falls ihr dort mitmacht und bedanke mich einfach schon mal im Voraus für die Leute, die das auf jeden Fall dann mitmachen. Yes, ansonsten würde ich sagen, wünsche ich euch auf jeden Fall da draußen jetzt noch einen wunderschönen Abend und auf jeden Fall noch eine weiter schöne Woche. Und wir sehen uns dann auf jeden Fall am Mittwoch, denn dort werde ich unter anderem auch wieder einen Livestream machen, zusammen mit dem Frank hier auf dem Channel. Deswegen kommt auf jeden Fall sehr gerne vorbei, wahrscheinlich 19:30, 20 Uhr. Und ansonsten würde ich sagen, wünsche ich euch auf jeden Fall da draußen noch einen wunderschönen Morgen, Mittag, Abend und bis dann, euer Captain. Ciao, ciao.